Attention, please. Eastern Airlines Flight 19, now ready for departure.
Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're entering the vacation kingdom of the world.
There's enough land here to hold all the ideas and plans we could possibly imagine. We call it Epcot. Will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow.
Welcome to another episode of the Retro Disney World Podcast, taking you back to the vacation kingdom of the world, the way it was, and the way it is in your memories.
Welcome to another episode of the Retro Disney World Podcast. I'm your host, Todd McCartney, and this is episode 85.5, RetroMagic Retrospective. We'll be taking a look back at our RetroMagic event, which was held September 30th and October 1st, 2023. This is an interesting episode because it's actually a live recording of our YouTube stream that we did just the other day. So you're going to have a chance to hear backhand stories, a little bit of a rundown of what we did. There's some videos. So if you'd rather, head over to our YouTube channel and you can click the live link over there and replay the live stream event that we had. Otherwise, sit back, enjoy this RetroMagic Retrospective. All right, welcome everybody. Oh, it looks like we got to adjust our Zoom here. Hold on, let's just shuttle everybody over. I think that looks a little better. We're kind of up. Yep. Could bring the boys up a little bit. There we go. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the
Todd Zoom brings all the boys to the screen.
Bring everybody together. That's right. So, Welcome, everybody, to our Epcot 40 RetroMagic Retrospective Rewind. We have a lot of things to go over tonight, so I saw a lot of people going, oh my gosh, this video. Some people had seen it for the first time, so and I saw some questions in there, where the music come from, and thank you for Jason for answering. We actually had that music commissioned. We were trying to get an Epcot feel without using Epcot's music, and I hope we kind of did it, because it wasn't easy. Brian, when you put your hands up like that, it looks like you have an imaginary camcorder.
Well, I was just moving the windscreen thing out of the way, because it was like, it looked like my face was disappearing there. So like, I was just
So wait, you just revealed a secret. That's the first little behind the scenes tidbit of what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we got a lot of different things to go over. In fact, I got this extra screen now, so there's a lot of real estate of things going on, and I might get a little confused, and we're a little rusty, so hopefully the audio's coming through. But you guys out there in YouTube land always tell us whether or not we're too loud or I'm too soft.
I appreciate that Hal's the only guy that got that reference.
Oh, I missed it. Sorry.
You said we're a little rusty. I went, Wusty.
Wusty.
National Lampoon's
We're all wearing berets when we do our Paris episode, right? So, I have a bowl of popcorn, so I hope some of you have that as well, and got a little beverage. I'm almost through it. So, but yeah, we want to go over a bunch of things tonight. I think the boys don't even know what I have programmed into the system to talk. Yeah, Hal and Brian are going, and JT. Brian, you and I talked a little bit, but we've got a
the nice thing is I'm going to get to see some of RetroMagic, because most of it I didn't get to see. I was running around doing things, so I can't wait till we get the videos of these panels, because I'd like to see them.
Yeah, you think we're not busy with this, but between being pulled out, somebody came over to me and say, "Oh, Tony needs to sign this. Can you get him to do that?" And obviously, that little door you probably saw us going in and out and back and forth. But
backstage magic,
exactly. But those in the chat, let us know if you did not attend. We're going to assume if you're here and you don't respond to us, we'd love to know how many people did not attend a Retro Magic. So let us know. Yes, Golden State, that was the secret door, so that's what it is. And JT, you're getting a shout out to your parents. We're going to see them a little later on one of the videos. And JT, are you wearing the watch? Did I just see that flash by? Oh, there it is. That's one of the behind the scenes tonight too. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So, all right, Adam didn't attend.
And then in the comments, questions, if you have them as we go, we'll try to.
Yeah, we'll try to do this all as we do. Well, this is totally unscripted tonight.
I'm not wearing the watch, but I still have the last RetroMagic pen set, the floating pen set.
There you go.
We have a few of those hanging around. Forgot to put them up on the site, but
there's Art. He says videos coming soon. So
yeah, Art is
no
Art
pressure.
And George. No,
Tammy Tucky's not asking us every day if you've done the video yet. So just so you know.
Big shout out to Reese and Art for doing all the video and all of our volunteers too. We'll talk about all that a little bit later. So, all right, here's a couple things we have. I'm looking at my list that I got programmed in. We've got 2 slideshows of behind the scenes photos. We've got behind the scenes footage of setup and actually going to the secret underground bunker to get stuff out of storage. We've got the School of Drama again, because everybody loved that. We also have the Cranium Command opening up there. We've got a rundown with photos and different things for all the sets. So there's a lot of good. There's something else in here too. Oh, we have our art auction to talk about. A lot of things to do. So, gentlemen, where do you want to start? What should we do? The rundown?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, we're going to be working on that rundown.
Let's do the rundown. So let's put us into the sideways setup here. And let's go through the rundown here. Let's turn this on. Oh, there we are, RetroMagic.
What's going on here? Okay, I gotta move my.
Yeah, those guys are a little bit. It's a little delayed. They can't see what I'm showing until they see it on their screen. It's a little weird.
Can't pick up what he's putting down.
That's right.
There's us looking at the gifts.
Exactly. So RetroMagic, we started. This was September 30th, our first the evening. This was after the VIP event that we had. And after we had our opening film, which everybody just saw, Hal told everybody about the gifts. So Hal, for those that haven't joined, maybe you can give a 30-second dissertation on what the gifts are. And we're going to, JT, make sure you slide it up the arm, please. Yeah, show it, like on the Price is Right. Yeah.
Which are available on our site.
Yes.
Let's start by saying that. So if you weren't there, or if you were there and you want some of these for Halloween presents or Thanksgiving presents or Veterans Day presents or holiday presents, or just to make your own wallpaper with like 100 sets of stickers.
Yeah.
You could cover an entire wall.
So if you go to lbvhistory.org/donate, maybe Jason can throw that in the chat for everybody there for us. And but we have stickers, watches, we've got the lanyards, the bags, all sorts of extra stuff. We always order extra.
Jason, Mr. Broccoli would be an awesome Arbor Day present.
That would be that would be great. So Hal, why don't you tell a little bit about what we have there?
Sure. And do we have slides of some?
I do not. No.
Okay.
Just give some quick.
I'm looking around
commentary.
now, thinking like, what do I have?
I got. Well, we have the watch, and
You got the watch. Okay.
I've got a set of stickers here. Oh, hold on.
Oh boy.
Your
There we
face
are.
is incredibly
This is going
transparent.
well.
There we go. Set of stickers.
All right. So stickers. We'll start with that. So Brian, when we were discussing, all things 1980s, which seemed incredibly appropriate for an Epcot event, he said, "I want puffy stickers." I said, "Okay, we all love that idea." So we went off to the internet and looked at puffy stickers from the 1980s. And it turns out most of the puffy stickers that were done in the 1980s were drawn very poorly. It looks like someone just threw pictures down on a tracing table and traced them, and they colored and
paid $10 to someone on Main Street, USA, to sketch their kid. Make ET for me.
And so that was the sort of the ethic that we took in the design. Is like we have so many talented artists that work with us that they could have made actually super incredibly beautiful ones, but we wanted to make it authentic to the 80s. So we went with the okay hand trace. And even to that point, the way that I produced these, I tried to do them exactly like someone would have in the 1980s. I started with the photos. I blew them up to like 300%, traced them on a light table, inked them, shot them with a scanner at like 1200 DPI, and then shrunk them back down to their actual size and colored them there. So the way that it was made was very authentic, which I think helps work with the...
And a little inside thing, how we had a little internal battle about the number of colors. You did want to go with...
We did.
You wanted to go with reduced number of colors because back in the 80s, it was cheaper to use just like 3 colors, and if the person's face happened to be purple, it was going to be purple.
Right.
And but we, a couple of us persisted. We say no, we want to do full color. So I appreciate your flex on that.
Well, you know what? It's for everybody, right? So whatever is, we don't have to be hard asses about it. We can as long as you get enough of the idea. And then even the little header that was on top. It's funny. So I tweeted out a picture of the top part of the bag, and someone said, oh, all you're missing is the price tag. And I was like, oh, turn it around.
Flip it over. That's right.
Because I even reproduced the authentic 1970s price tag that was on items sold at the Walt Disney World back then, and then swapped the Mickey head for the Artist Historical Society logo.
And Hal, I've got some photos later of the lanyard and the stickers actually, and the watch when we're going through production. So we'll hold off on the description until we get there. So we had a good question come up. We haven't even gotten to our panelists yet, but Bazina Brigida, I believe that's how you say it. You guys seem to be really inspired or maybe lucky as how you choose for your panels. Your panelists were fantastic to listen to. How do you get such great panelists? Well, all you need to do for one of them is redo Journey into Imagination, and he'll come visit, and he'll just say, "Can I come to your event?" That's how we got Tony Baxter. But
to be fair, he was on the list.
He was on the list. But Brian,
we were building the rest of the panel. Yeah. The short answer is I made a list of 25 or 30 people, most of whom D23 has not had at events or have not been to these events, type of events before, some of whom have never done events like this, who were integral in one or more of the attractions at Epcot or something to do with Epcot that we were working on. Tom Morris helped us a little bit fill the list out when I was going through it and saying, here's some people you should approach. And there were some 6 or 7 that we approached that we never heard back from.
Yeah.
That just didn't answer, and a bunch that said, no, thanks, but no thanks, can't make it. couple that are punted to our next event, the Tencennial, that are going to be able to make it. But Barry Braverman, Bunny, you just asked me. Yeah, Barry and I talked. He was not able to make this event, but he's always high on our list. We'll keep trying. Part of what happens is the good buzz goes from these events back to, these folks do get together at periodic reunions and events in California, and they can say, hey, if you ever get invited by these folks, it's a great place to go. So that's part of how we build it out. But we love plucking. My favorite thing to hear back from people is, I never knew this person existed. What a great guest. I loved hearing from that person. And we get the same feedback from the guests too. The folks that are up on stage that haven't done these types of things before. And some of the notes we got back from them were really a compliment to all of you. And I'm going to share, I won't tell people who it's from, but I'll share a little bit of one later because I want everybody to hear it.
Who was the guy that did the Doc Brown to you? Brian said, "My God, they found me. I don't know how they found me." Who was
that? Was Richard Vaughn.
Richard Vaughn, yeah.
Richard Vaughn of Spaceship Earth fame. High in the mountains of New Mexico.
Yeah. And I want to say too, the challenge with this is that we have to do some of this again. Have to bring some of it back because there are so many stories, and so many were up there telling the story for the little piece that they had, but there are so many more stories. So that's why we do this. And like you said, Brian, I really do enjoy bringing, Sarno and Norm Inouye and Richard Vaughn, all these to light who just didn't get that spotlight as others had, and really bringing them all out. So, but speaking of guests, we did start off, these are not in order. You know what? I don't know what happened. All right. They were in order, but they're not.
It's all right.
JT, take it away. You talked with Jim Sarno. There we go.
Yeah, we brought Jim back. Jim's always a treat to have. And him and I talked beforehand, and we said a lot of these stories we've told at events, but we kind of treated it like, a lot of people hadn't heard it. So we rehashed some. We went through some things. Jim went into some Harriet Burns history and that, but Jim's one of those ones we like just having him there, and he's a blast to have on stage. Just a nice guy to conversate with and talk with, and it was a good quick panel. I think I definitely had fun up there.
Yep. And somebody has the Epcot pictures on the panelists on my calendar for this month. It's a great shot.
It's
a great shot. Oh, Brian, it's you and Hugh.
Oh, Hugh Darley, who we just heard from. I just talked to him yesterday. What can I say about Hugh Darley? I did say it on stage there, but Hugh and I had lunch last year put together by Johnny Rivers. He came with Johnny Rivers to lunch, and 2 minutes into hearing his first story and that amazing Southern Georgia drawl, I said, this man needs to be on stage. and he was enthusiastic. And for those of you who stayed for the last set of autographs, Hugh sat there with the Imagination team and signed autographs until the very last person left, and has more stories to tell. One of the things we've toyed with about our next event is maybe doing a good neighbor panel where we talk a bit about some of the work some of these folks have done for Universal and SeaWorld and some of the neighboring attractions. And Hugh has done a lot of work for Universal and for Paramount Parks where he was involved, and cruise lines, working on cruise ports. He has a lot more stories to tell. He's starting to work on a book. He just retired. But Hugh will definitely be back.
Yep. And speaking of books, JT, we have a list on the site of the books that individuals wrote. So if you're interested in hearing their stories that they've got in paper, there's a couple book listings out there. The Alcorns.
I'll post the link in the chat here to that.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't want to kill the finale of his panel.
But here's a great picture of him.
There. But the
everybody do it.
His panel ended. The last story we told was about them testing the water effect at the sign out front of the Living Seas, where the waves crash on that water. And the very first time that they tested it, the cannons were loaded at, I believe he said 300 pounds a square inch or something like that, and it fired a water rocket that knocked the men painting the mural on the side of the building off of their perches there from the scaffolding. And of course, his version of telling it, I mean,
You can't do it justice.
I don't think the room laughed more at any point during the weekend. It was hilarious.
I just found it really interesting that they started with the pressure high and worked their way down.
And those were the guys that did the leaping fountains at Epcot, and went on to start Wet Industries, that all water attractions. And the best part was Hugh's closing line. He says he walked over to them and says, well, I'm no engineer, but I think that's too much.
It reminds me of the first Iron Man when Tony Stark, he's like, let's put pressure just 50%, and it blows him into the wall.
Exactly.
I can't look at those that sign, though, that Living Sea sign now, like ever again.
No.
Well, I just always look at the wall to the left now. When I was there, and I'm like, distance. I'm looking at where it hit, and I'm like, man,
Brian,
I wish I had been there.
They're repainting it. That's how they clean it. They just crank the pressure up, and they shoot the water on the wall, and then all the crap drips down.
Yeah.
We're not going to go over the story here, but the Boov is a Mama's Boy is another great story.
Hugh finally gave us the confirmation and a little bit of background on that.
Yeah.
And there was actually a postscript to that story that I didn't, when you're on stage going through this stuff, your mind is always like, okay, where am I going next? And so you tend to think of things afterwards. One of the stories about this afterwards, I had asked, that, he had told us that the guy, the Boo, was in the landscape side of things. So I had asked Michael Crawford to ask Scott Gerard, who was like head of landscaping at Walt Disney World at the time, who they had interviewed on the Progress City podcast. I told him the story last year, and I said, can you ask him about this guy, Boo? And Scott Gerard's reply was basically, yeah, I mean, I knew him, but he didn't really work for me. Like he was just like shoving responsibility for Boo away from him.
All right, here's just a shot, I believe, with one of your drinks, Hal. Is this which is this drink?
There we go.
That's the piñata. The piñata.
Yeah, that's a piñata. Okay.
Colada. So that was so two of our specialty drinks this year to celebrate Horizon's 41st were Horizons themed, and so this was of course, everybody knows about the Lorange, the long orange. That was part of the Horizons thing. That's what they were harvesting from the buckets. But off to the side was a second genetically engineered, actually there were a few there, fruit called piñana, which was a combination of a banana and a pineapple. And so we said, okay, we've got to use that as the basis of one of the drinks. So we took a basic pina colada recipe and added a little bit of banana liqueur to it, and hopefully not grenadine. They added that much to my chagrin, but I'm sure hopefully it was
that one good. Looks correct, because the one my wife had did have grenadine in it, and it was a little sweet. But
so I don't know. I can take no responsibility for the grenadine. I don't know where that.
My several were tasty.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
but it was it was a nice. I was just saying, it was a nice, easy drink, easy to make, easy to drink. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And then our non-alcoholic one was a flavor grape sangria. Yep.
So Hal, this is you and JT on this panel here with Davey fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Which I missed this entire panel. So if you want to start,
I don't know what was going on, but I saw none of that panel.
Same thing here.
Neither did I. I don't remember any of it. It's all blur.
You have to understand, this is not like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where we just at the end go say, I lived at Dottie, because we missed it, Dottie, mostly.
I get to watch the video.
Yeah.
So Dave Fighton is one of the handful of geniuses who program audio animatronics. I shouldn't say, I hate the word program. He is an animator and his medium happens to be audio animatronics. He's they always throw a programmer on it because he uses a computer in order to do that, but he's not. He's an animator. He's not really a programmer. And so. So we got to talk, World of Motion had like 182 audio animatronic figures in it, mostly humans, but animals and cars and all kinds of different things that moved. And he was the first person to actually work on that attraction in its built form in the Tahunga facility. So he had a bunch of great stories about the Black Widow spiders that were there, and all kinds of things, and some surprising stuff like when they have these animation consoles that he called an Anacon, which I hadn't heard before, so that was interesting to put a name to that. So that's that. When you go to like the One Man's Dream show, there's that, and I assume they might still have it there. There's one of those animation consoles with like the picture of the person kind of flat like this and the dials everywhere. So that's the Anacon. And he didn't have a table for it. They didn't provide him a table. So he went to Wathel Rogers, who we all know from a bunch of Disney videos and films.
He made Hugh Darley cry on stage when he saw Wathel's picture, because Wathel was his inspiration.
He's the guy that's in the suit, in the metal compliance suit in the Carousel of Progress scene, picking up the newspaper, and then the man on the stage does the same thing. He went to Wathel and said, I need some place to put this. And Wathel was like, oh, there's an oil barrel over there and some wood. So just throw the wood on top of the oil barrel and get to work. No chairs, no any. And so for 2 weeks, they dragged this oil barrel with this $70,000 animation console sitting on top of it. So that was crazy. And he's a really funny guy. He talked a lot about some of the nitty gritty of it as well, like how far you can push things and not push things, and how Disney tends to dial the animation back after he programs it, just so that way it lasts longer and is a little bit more maintenance friendly.
And a cake story or cookies?
Cookies, yeah. So
Brian, you got your dessert for the next event right here. Davey fighting cookies.
So when they were working on Epcot, they decided to have a cookie contest, and the idea was to make Epcot out of cookies to get people excited about working on the project. And so this is one of the entries. It's a pile of cookies with a Mickey on top, and then the dome thing. Apparently, the special effects department put some cookies on plates under this dome, and then just had a ton of their special effects whirligigs and things going on inside of it. So that's John Hench and a few other people judging.
I don't know about the rest of the country. I think at some point in the last 10 years this has come up on the podcast. But in Western Pennsylvania, and in the chat, raise your hand if there's it is a thing at weddings that in addition to having the cake, the wedding cake, there is a cookie table.
Oh, that's we had that.
All right, so that extends into Ohio.
Yeah, well, half my family's from Western PA too. So
so the guests will bring, it's like a holiday cookie exchange, except, Aunt Flo brings her famous cranberry cookies, and so brings these, and a giant table of cookies. So if I ever get invited, even if I don't like the person, when I get invited to a wedding that's out near Pittsburgh, I go. Because I know there's going to be a cookie table.
So we should do this at the next event and have people bring cookies.
Big cookies, wow.
Well, we're not allowed to have them bring food into the catering hall. So
we'll do it outside in the parking lot.
We're going to have to find a neutral location to have a
come on down to the Ramada on International Boulevard afterwards for our cookie swap.
Well, Hal will just create milk cocktails. There'll be nothing but various milk cocktails.
And speaking of your cocktails, Hal, people wanted to know the recipe. If you could share that, so that would be great.
Yes,
the drink recipes. Yeah.
Okay. So I saw someone say you should do a liquid luau, and I will do a liquid luau. But if you want to know what the recipe is, I may just happen to have it handy here.
By the way, Hal, the fact that you're using a multicolored LED light with your rainbow corridor is amazing. By the way.
It's in the details, right?
I love it. You plussed it. You plussed it, as we said.
Makes it all nice to have that while building it. Yeah, extra LED.
We got 4 of them en route. Actually, they should be at Yvonne's now. Yvonne, let us know if that package arrived with the extra LED strips.
Are we gonna tell that story?
We're gonna tell some story.
Right?
I'll get to it right now.
So this was a late ad that's on the screen here.
This was an insane ad.
This was an insane ad. We made 5 or 6 of these where it went through and told you things that were coming up, and then we literally sat there in a chat one day and came up with all the things we could put in here, like, veggie, fruit, olé, cha cha cha, and all the different things that you've heard around
Scheduled
Epcot Center.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
coming up, wait
There
times.
used to be signs like that in Epcot that would have
Exactly.
the scrolling.
And we knocked this off in
by
like
the-
one day, like 6 days before the event.
Yes,
We put these together.
while we're all in the middle of a high pressure situation of trying to get other things together, all of a sudden we're just like, oh, we don't have time for anything else, and then
Well, let's have one.
Let's
Put
do
it
2
in.
hours of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So fortunately, they rendered pretty quick, and it was relatively easy. But I'm glad you somebody's modem died and couldn't log into Prodigy. Well, you're gonna have to get that fixed. So Hal, this is you again. This is Grand Immaculate Spaceship Earth with Michael Crawford and the crew.
Oh, wonderful
Oh, yeah.
panel.
My
This
goodness.
one I saw. This one I sat through the entire panel.
What a okay, there's several groups. I feel like every panel that you sit on with these folks is like a wow, I can't believe I just got to do that. But this
Yeah.
was definitely a wow, I can't believe I just got to do that group. John DeCure Jr., who did, he basically ran us through why there is a Spaceship Earth. What is the function of having a large piece of architecture to kind of represent a place like Epcot and how important that is. Starting at World's Fairs in Paris with the Eiffel Tower and working their way up to today. And he said a great thing at the end that will hold to the end.
Yeah.
But just what a brilliant man, what a great humanist, just a fantastic guy. And he did a lot of the preliminary ideas for Epcot and what it could be when they were in this very exploratory stage of just trying to figure out what is an Epcot. And they slowly got to the idea of doing, Spaceship Earth. They knew they wanted a centralized theme show, but they weren't sure what it was. And then Bray Bradbury, as you probably all know, was part of it, and he ended up writing a great script for it. But he had talked to them and said, I had this problem myself. I was writing this article for a magazine about the moon landing, and I just couldn't get it started, and the due date was coming up. And he said, finally, I thought of a metaphor that I could put on it, and then the article just flowed out. So you guys need to find a metaphor to hang this on. And that's when they came up with the idea of, from cave walls to, digital walls or something. And that's when they thought, oh, okay, we'll look at like every great landmark in human communication that drove us forward to the next era. And that's what they did. And Peggy Ferris, who did a lot of the research on that and figured out what in the world all those different things are. And my goodness, it's her ability to recall dialogue in foreign languages,
In dead languages, too.
Yes. She's just like, she just starts reciting Egyptian and Phoenician from the attraction. Absolutely amazing. What a great lady. Oh my gosh. If you want to talk about, and I loved her story of just, starting out fresh out of school and doing stuff. And to me, this is the classic old Imagineering of you get in there and you do something and you do it well. And then you do a little bit more, and then you would get recognized, and then you get a new opportunity and you do a little bit more, and you get it's the way businesses, it's the way I always thought about businesses ran. It's just so great that she was able to do that. And then we had Richard Vaughn, who was the production designer on it, and he started with the models in the model shop building them, and did an awesome job on that. And then got invited to become sort of the field art director, because the model shop to me is another one of those like key things to Imagineering. So this happened a lot with Epcot. So people in the model shop would end up getting the opportunity to come to Florida and supervise the install to make sure everything was put in properly and restage things if necessary, which totally makes sense because they were the people that were the most familiar with the attraction, especially from a dimensional perspective. So he had some really funny stories to tell about the things that he did.
Yeah, Richard came over while we were setting up on Saturday just to find the facility and introduce himself to us. And if those of you know, it was extremely hot those couple of days. Like there were periods of time where you just stepped outside and, within 5 seconds you were drenched from head to toe because of the humidity. So he was, patting himself on because he had walked down along the sidewalk from the Dolphin. And I just chatting with him. I said, Richard, how long's it been since you were on the property, down here in Florida? He said 35 years. So he had worked on Captain EO. So I think the last time he was there was when they were finishing Captain EO, which was nuts.
Yep.
Insane.
Wow.
All right. These are definitely all out of whack order. Okay. This is mine. This is with Ted Linhart. This is how we kicked off the evening Saturday. After we did the introduction with all the gifts. Ted runs DisneyDocs.net, and he bought quite an assembly of pieces of history, documents. He bought the Horizons Information Guide, I think, again. He had all sorts of early Epcot designs. He had some of this stuff. What was really neat is that one of the books, I think it's that screen. Yeah, it's that one there. It's hard to see on the bottom left. But John DeCure Jr. bought a giant print of that we had on display, and that was on the cover of this book, which was really neat. A very, very early rendering of early Epcot. So check out DisneyDocs.net if you haven't. Tons of PDFs to download. It's amazing how much he's got on that.
And he walked out of the event with even more stuff than what he came with.
Did he buy things?
He did. He got some stuff from Bob Gurr.
Oh, wow.
Some. Go ahead,
And just this week, he Ted acquired from Hugh Darley concept art for a Fiesta Fun Center refurbishment in 1987 that would have had all of these electronic games and stuff, and it was right as Hugh started iTech, and so Ted being Ted, he hooked up with Hugh when he found out what Hugh's history was, and said, hey, do you have anything? And lo and behold, this week Ted had from Disney Docs added this amazing concept art for all of these high-end things that they were going to do to refurbish the Fiesta Fun Center at the Contemporary. So worth checking out.
Yeah.
Because it's stuff that no one has seen since 1987.
No, completely. Brian, I'll let you take this one. This is Tammy and Sally.
So this was another one of those I want. One of the songs that stuck with me on my first visit to Epcot was Tomorrow's Child. That really was the Epcot song that stuck with me. So when Tammy did her album earlier this year, and Sally was a part of it, and she had done an interview with her on her podcast. This was a back and forth. There was a lot of discussion about bringing Sally to the event. She was one of the last additions, just from timing, because she had like a book signing scheduled for that weekend that she had to reschedule. But to hear her come in at 82 years old, I think she is, and nail that song was something. And there was a point on Saturday morning where there was a little room we gave them next to where the Rainbow Carter was.
I have a photo of that later too, Brian, coming up.
where they were doing the sound check.
Yeah.
And so I was listening at the door, and then Hal and Todd came up and were like, come on, let's go in. I mean, it's our event. We can go in and listen to the sound check. And we stood there for, I don't know what it was, 7 or 8 minutes. And they did the whole song for us, and just incredible.
Yeah.
And Sally's got, I mean, the pedigree going back to singing with, Sinatra and these people in the 60s. And then she just, in addition to singing the Simpsons theme song, she has sung everything, which is her book, I Sang That, which is linked on the site. Yeah. She's just been a Hollywood studio session singer forever, and amazing background.
So. And then how you and I were up there, Trevor Bryant going over Horizons, which was a fun. We scratched the tip of the iceberg of Horizons. I mean, you can go listen to our 3-part series on it where we deep, but Trevor's modeling experience, and it was funny because I wasn't the only one that I think it was Tom Morris called out. You look like Kylo Ren or what's his Adam Driver in some of those pictures. But I think one of the biggest parts was that he told the story of Zorro the bear, which was the Pooh Bear that used to be originally was in a lot of the promotional photos that hung there in the space scene. And the insurance person got after them and said, "You can't have a Pooh Bear up there. That's terrible," and whatnot. So they put a Zorro outfit on him, and they made them take it down, and then it went to the generic teddy bear. But he still has Zorro Bear with him, and he bought it with it. I don't know. So, I don't know if we have enough to do an ornament of Zorro Bear with his half mustache.
So I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory is at different times during the history of the Disney company's relationship with the family, the heirs of the A.A. Milne empire. It's just a little. There have been times when the relationship has been contentious, and so it's highly possible that during the 1980s it was one of those contentious times. They had a deal with Pooh in Sears. They were selling a bunch of merchandise, and there were several times that the family sued Disney because they didn't feel like they were auditing it properly, and then Disney would go, "Oh, our bad. It turns out we owe you a lot of other money." And so this kind of thing would happen back and forth, and so it's potentially they felt like that usage of Pooh wouldn't have been covered under whatever contracts that they had,
okay.
to just avoid the whole thing.
That makes sense. So people enjoying his art. He got very choked up at the art too that came out because they asked him to do the art for the shirt, and you could really see when he got choked up, he needed a moment because that was such an important part of his life. And we do have his art. I know people are asking for a T-shirt. We need to work with him on that. Make sure he's cool with something like that. All right, Journey into Imagination. Whoa, Hal, you and I, this is a huge panel
Oh my gosh.
Tom, Tony, and why am I blanking? Russell Brower.
Yeah.
Where do we even start? I mean, we couldn't cover anything. I feel like we only scratched the surface in this panel.
This is one of those, it could have should have been an hour and a half or 2 hours, but we just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
It was the longest panel. I mean, we gave it as much time as.
But we could have gone for another hour and a half,
And we even went over, as it was, trying to get as much stuff in there as possible for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah.
Gosh, we've got Tony tracking the beginnings of it, from the Land Pavilion's Landkeeper to Professor Marvel from the Never Built.
And how we should tell the audience too, like he gave us a presentation, and in the words of Billy Joel, we had to cut it down to 3:05. I mean, it was. Yeah,
it was even long. Right,
it was huge. And he says
much longer.
He says, "I need about 90 minutes without Q&A." I'm like, it was literally the Sam the Eagle. It's like, dude, you got 20 minutes. That's all you're gonna get. So,
but it was really neat to see, and he had all kinds of artwork that none of us had seen before, and lots of photos of the group that worked with him on it. Yeah. Tad Stones. I'm trying to remember. Skip Lang, right?
Yeah.
And a couple of other folks.
Couple others, yeah. And then we have some videos later on that we'll dive into some of the stuff. But.
And there were more more people we tried to get from the attraction to come in. But
apparently this is us.
Schedules are schedules.
This is us wrapping it up. This must have been when I lost my cool and had a moment on stage too. But
he got to cry before me.
I did. I was like,
I just kind of stepped on my toes a little bit.
I'm sorry. It just the emotions just came out. The emotions just came out. Like I said, these slides were in order, and then I don't know what OBS does. It just puts it out. Of course, we're going to end it, and then we're going to go back. It's probably going to take us back to the beginning when we talk about Cranium Command. But this is Tammy. This was Brian. You said make me cry, and she did it. So,
well, I told that my intro to the song. For me, my Disney era when I started going regularly. This is the song that closed the day at Epcot. When the Illuminations would finish, this song would start and then go into "Oh Mela Wela" while everybody was exiting the park. but I had a couple of connections to this song. I know I told the story once or twice before, but this particular one I didn't tell at the event. I was at Disney when the Sandy Hook shooting happened, and you can sometimes appreciate being inside a bubble and being shielded from the awful things outside in the world when you're in these parks. And that particular night, I remember knowing what had happened, but we're watching the illuminations, and this song came on, and I just bawled my eyes out. And anytime after that, I still remember the last time I saw it. And it was a few months before the end of the show, and I remember exactly where I stood and the group of friends I was with. We were on a bridge near China, I think, watching it, and I love the song, and we talked about bringing Kelly Coffey in to sing it, but at the end of the day, Tammy, we just knew would nail it, and she did.
Yep.
I mean, she just got it.
So a couple comments on things that have gone on where I'm listening to your story, Brian. Russell Brower, we are going to have him back, so thanks for putting that in the chat. I know he only got a couple minutes at the end to talk about, but yeah, Brian, we were all mush by the time that thing ended. We were just hugging anybody that would come up to us. So you want a hug, just come find us, because we were.
I feel bad because I know Rob's in the chat here. I finished on stage, and then Tammy came up to start singing this song, and I have this emotional reaction to the song. And Rob Hinkle's in the chat. He's one of my oldest friends. We've been friends since high school. And I stood next to him, and I just grabbed onto him, and I know I squeezed about eight years of life out of him for about 5 seconds, because I just needed to grab onto something.
Yep.
And she started, and then we pulled it together for the rest of the show. And then we're trying to get off the stage, and our friend Tony Passero stops us to say nice things about us, and it was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So.
Somebody says, Todd, tell everyone about the quote that Amy wrote down that came from Tony Baxter. Yes. My wife overheard him, and to paraphrase, because she has it in her phone, I have to have her send it to me. But Tony said something to the effect that he turned to the other Imagineers and said, "This shows you, or reminds you of what your investment did," which was really a neat thing to say. That remind of the time that they invested to do that. So,
yeah. And Rob in the chat just pointed out, and so true, that he said the striking theme for the event was how much Epcot touched the people who built it and those of us who enjoyed it. And that is 100%.
100.
What
yeah.
I got out of it too was
I know there's a. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying. Well, I know there's some folks freaking out in the chat over the next slide, but I do want to share. I don't want to attribute this to who sent it to us, but along the same lines, this was what I had referenced earlier. I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for creating an amazing experience. For me in particular, it was not just a reconnection or a reunion, but after so many years, it was a reminder that I was an integral part of something huge and important. And I had lost that feeling years ago. John DeCure Jr. said it better than anyone, that it was a community. And he says a few other things. Says, if I survive another 10 years, I'd love to participate in your Epcot 50th RetroMagic reunion. And that's just one of the Imagineers, and again, it's work they did so long ago. And I love that our event was able to do that for them. And all of you who attended were able to do that for them.
Exactly. So our slide, this was supposed to be one of the first slides, but it's obviously out of order, as I mentioned. But this was our Cranium Command panel Saturday night, which this was the end credits to the Cranium Command opening that we can play for you if you guys want to see it again. We can do it. It's 2 minutes. This was a panel with Jerry Reese and Scott Curtis. We had Corey Burton return as in a voiceover for general knowledge. And Bunny, who is here tonight, I see her in the chat. She did all the drawings for it. You see general knowledge and Buzzy on there. That was all that. So she did a fantastic job. So up on stage, that's me with Jerry and Scott. We went over a little bit of Scott's acting career. He did a few things before this and after. As we went over, his famous thing was DJ's First Kiss. And the Pepsi ad that he did for ET.
or the ET ad for Pepsi, I guess you could say. So it was a really neat way to kick it off. And then we played, which nobody knew. This was kind of a few people kind of knew what was going on, but we played our version of Cranium Command Revisited. We got an anonymous tip about a year ago of all the different pieces of film for the eyes and the top and the bottom, and also basically one that was put on a tripod and just shot out at Buzzy. So we recreated Cranium Command, and then we're going to probably do a movie night or release that sometime coming up. So that was a lot of fun.
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah, exactly. We got a lot of backlog we got to go through. This is just a general picture of the room for those that weren't there and those who wanted to feel like they relived it. And then we opened day 2 with Billy Flanagan and Tammy Tuckey. So, Brian, you guys know a little more about Billy. And actually, it's funny. I was restoring some videos this week, and wouldn't you know, one of them was Billy in the Tarzan Rock show, jumping, singing and jumping and doing all sorts of stuff. And I was like, I got footage of him. So there we go.
That's hilarious. To me, the funniest thing was knowing. Oh, so Tammy shows up in that dress. She's made up. She's ready to go. And the story that I know is Billy is going to arrive in the morning. He's going to perform, and then he's going to go to church. And so we have this window in order to pull this off. And so Tammy's in this beautiful green sparkly dress, and then in walks Billy in a jacket that perfectly matches the dress, and went to Tammy and said, "Did you guys plan this?" And she's like, "Nope, I just told him what I was wearing, and he took care of it."
He took care.
Right. And so in my mind, I'm visioning like Billy's closet is like, what color is it? Okay, sparkles. What color? And he's got one of like
just
every
like Henry
color.
Hill's closet in Goodfellas with all this.
Just get red, blue, green. Okay, here's the green, and off he goes. And
right.
Well, Billy was kind of a last minute ad.
Yeah,
he?
He was
very last minute. In fact, she kept asking, "Did we want him? Did we want him? Did we want him?" And the original plan was Todd wanted to open Saturday morning with.
Well, Todd was going to dance up there with Tammy, right? That was the original.
No, you were from
everything.
You were in the door section of Home Depot.
You were going to do the Home Depot dance.
Yeah.
So
inside joke, folks. Inside.
Yes. So we originally, Todd planned to run the opening video that we ran again tonight on Sunday morning to reopen the show. And I said, well, we've already opened the show the night before. Like, we should do something different. And there had been I guess early on there was a discussion on Hal's music, because Hal was like, Hal and Jeff Crawford were our musical directors.
Yeah.
So there was like a plan to do We've Just Begun to Dream. And I guess we had forgotten about it as we worked on the schedule. And it was, I don't know, it was less than 2 weeks out where I said, is this on our schedule, Hal? And Hal goes, yeah, it's supposed to be. They were going to perform it. And so then I checked with Tammy. I said, are you sure you can sing that early? Like, because you're on it, at the opening, you're on after lunch with Sally, and then you're closing the show. Like, can you do it all day? And she said, yep. I said, okie doke.
And I'm talking to Hal. I'm like, dude, I'm leaving. I'm not downloading gigabytes of data on Disney's Wi-Fi. You better get the film ready for their background. And he's frantically doing that. You guys have no idea how much data we're transferring back and forth to pull this off.
And so I started with this elaborate plan in my mind that I was going to do original artwork and basically replicate like
this is so Hal Bowers right now.
Yeah, I'm going to replicate the look of of one of those like 6 slide deck.
It's
like
almost
shows.
Too simple.
That's right.
What was done for like what Making Memories was done in. So everything would be done as if it was slide projectors that were crossfading. And I went into all this research of like, how do I make crossfades look like the crossfade? And then just time was up. Wasn't going to happen. And someone gave me access to this opening footage from Epcot's actual opening day, and there's Billy like as one of the dancers in the opening day footage where they sing "We've Just Begun to Dream." So it just made perfect sense. Like, it's the opening of Epcot, it's the opening event. The video was awesome. I was able to edit the video to match, Tammy's edits of the song because we shortened it quite a bit. And I think it really set the tone nicely for.
And Kyle was just asked, we need to see Kyle's background footage. You will at some point. We'll definitely have that out on the main one. All right, our last panel. This was Bob and Steve.
Let me do one more thing. If you were there and you saw it, that opening animation of Epcot Center where it came out and was like vectory looking animation, that was actually a trailer that played in front of Tron in 1982. So that was a real piece of vintage media that we were able to use to open the show. All right, go ahead, Todd.
Sorry, this is over to Brian and JT.
So this is how we open Sunday morning, and we figured we would get the engineers up there talking about how they took the dirt in the ground and turned it into something they could put buildings on, and how they put the buildings up. And I allotted, I don't remember, it was 60 minutes or something like that. And when Bob Holland what happened was Bob Holland and Steve Alcorn both sent me their PowerPoints and said, you can cut them down. And I could cut a little bit, but there was just too much good stuff there. So I told, I'd sent them each thing, and I said, listen, you'll each have about 20 minutes. And then I told Bob Gurr we'd have him for about 10 minutes up there to run through some stuff with him, which if you were there, you saw I asked him one question, and he proceeded to answer all 7 that I had written down on my card in his first answer. He just ran through it, because we had sat down beforehand. He's like, okay, what are you going to ask me? And I went through it all with him, and he just answered all the questions before I got to ask them.
We were eating breakfast when you talked to him that morning, and you said, Bob, we're going to give you 5-10 minutes or so to do this. And he just goes, well, normally I take about 20 to 30 to answer these types of questions. And it just slowly started compounding. And then it turned into that was our first panel that kind of put us behind, on time.
Well, and part of it was what we had chatted about was, I said, I'm really looking for you to kind of be since you and I, JT and I, aren't engineers, I said, I'm kind of looking for you to be my Ed McMahon, my color commentary here, as Holland and Alcorn explain the intricacies of what they were doing. And Bob Gurr did do that. He jumped in at points, which was great. But yes, Bob Holland's muck became the catchphrase of the event. It became the Hawk Your Booty of this event. For those who were at Destination D 2016, you know what I'm talking about. And Steve Alcorn, he could have gone on another 20 minutes or 3 hours talking about American Adventure and just the whole process of he and Linda's adventures in space, at Epcot. And
and I think he did a nice job calling out Linda, who I think is another one of those hidden gems in the Epcot history, because it was her attractions that opened first, and she got so much visibility for doing that. Basically, everybody, all the other engineers and all the executives were following around and wanted her on their projects because she was getting it done.
Yeah, and Linda was originally scheduled to be on one of the panels. And came to me about a month beforehand and said, listen, I'm not comfortable being on stage in front of 400 or 500 people.
Right.
And I, said, listen, don't, just come. And she was more than happy to interact individually with people. She is going to do a small group event for us in the future. We chatted about that and had some ideas for how we could do that. But yeah, she has a tremendous pedigree and deserves more recognition than when you're shy you're able to get sometimes.
Yep. All right. Well, that's the end of the slideshow here. But what I do have, let's see what the group wants to see here. Maybe we've got the Crane and Command opening programmed up. I've got some test platform footage, the drama, School of Drama, and then some behind the scenes footage. Why don't we just start with this here? Here's some behind the scenes footage. This is one of the clips, gentlemen, that I first sent you on. We could make the Rainbow Tunnel, and this is what the factory sent us. Yeah. Remember this?
That's if you're beaming in Star Trek, it's a good.
Yeah, I'm like, well, can we turn that on the side and do that? I don't know why it's not going to the next clip here. Come on, let's go.
Is it show the inflatable version?
I don't know why it's playing the same footage over and over. Hold on. Stand by.
All right.
Does it repeat?
The sound guy's in charge of this, or what?
I don't know. Oh, there we go. Oh, and then this is the Rainbow Corridor being built.
Oh yes.
So this is actually from the factory.
Now that part right there, that is the sign that says Rainbow Corridor. Right?
Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's the sign.
Yep.
And that's when they first told us, oh, we've got the tubes. I'm like, well, I don't want them to do that. The tubes are like they're a little too.
Boy, they
flashy.
work really good there, Hal. Look at that. No issues at all.
But this is what the tubes could have done. So, and then this is when they started hooking them up for us. I
didn't tell you, Todd, when we were building, I could not get it to do the program, and I mean,
really?
Was like it was doing a whole light show and everything, and I'm going. It's better than nothing. At least it lights up. And I found that the SD card spring-loaded had popped out.
Oh, so it was like in the default state.
So, yeah, right when I popped it back in, it was like right back to Rainbow Corridor mode.
So here's one of the early programs they sent me. I'm like, no, there's no red, there's no orange, and there's no purple. What are you guys doing? So here they are setting it up.
It took a solid 4 days to get red out of them.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It did. You can't believe what I sent them. So they were discussing on how they could attach it. They went with Velcro and these.
I really just feel like We're Getting Ready for You should be playing.
Oh, I should have put that in there. Yeah,
I feel a little standoffish, like they're messing with my thing there. Excuse me.
Man.
That is not how it went with us. How putting those.
Look how fast he's going.
Look at that one holding there. That is not.
Yeah.
I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio in that meme. I'm like there it is. It's holding. It did not do that in real life.
No, they've got this whole thing. So this is when they had it up and they programmed it.
They were doing this in a zero gravity chamber.
That's right.
We put one strip up like that, and as one bit went, it all just fell, like the whole thing.
Oh yeah, it was like Christmas lights at my house when I put them up. And
yes, Matt knows he was there.
Yeah. And this is where I told them, like, no, it's still not the right colors. They're like, oh, okay, we'll reprogram it. I made this whole Excel spreadsheet that showed like what color should be in which segment at one time. I'm like, oh, it was so frustrating, but. How your freeze frame background as well as JT's shows how well it came out. And I think the next little video clip here actually shows, let's see here. I think the next one is when it was finished, the video they sent us of it finished. Let's see here. Yeah, there it is. And then they walk through it for us.
Yeah, I do remember the day we got this one. This was
it was
a big moment.
Oh my gosh, I think we nailed it.
Yeah, I think it might work.
It might.
Let's hope it works when we plug it in.
And as it's halfway around the world, and I'm like, they have to disassemble it still and ship it. So
right. So
JT, we have to rebuild it.
This was JT's job from the beginning. We have some. Well, we'll tell that story when we get to that point, because it's another 2 minutes here in this video for some other things here.
Alan, I was not with Tom Morris when he saw it. We did walk Tony Baxter into the room, and I think there's video of that somewhere.
There's
Tony
people asking if it's available on Amazon or how much does it cost, asking for your basement. If you are serious, we are going to sell it and auction it. So if you're interested, email podcast@retrowdw.com. It's about 20 feet long.
And it's a 4-figure number. Now, don't be like, oh, it's $200.
It's 4 figures.
This was thousands of dollars. Yeah. So,
and you don't have to put the whole thing up, by the way. You can put it up in segments too. Might actually even be able to split it up into 2. So this is the final video here where they finally got it right. I had shown just previous to this the actual tunnel, and then they sent this to me. I was like, okay, you finally got it. You got the color right. So
Golden State says, he quotes Dr. Jones, it should be in a museum. You're right. But funny fact, museums usually pay for their artifacts. So.
Yep. Exactly.
We'll sell it to whatever museum wants it.
That's right.
What's this footage? This is the archive.
This is the archive. This is going out. They were going to the secret bunker.
Here we are.
To get everything out. So we've got behind the scene footage here.
And there's the friend shirt. If you watched one of our movie nights, you saw that friend shirt on one of the people in one of the movies. And Hal made the friend shirt, and I think Gary's the only one that bought one.
Gary had been let out of the closet by then. He lived in there for an entire year.
Oh, here it goes. Here comes the whiff of 50,000 years floating out.
See some peach punch mix in there too.
That's right. There is some. That's right. You guys haven't seen this at all.
No, this is all.
This is how the day starts, everybody.
There's Rob. It's behind the scenes. People are asking.
That's
We're delivering.
Look at this.
This is. Oh, fisheye.
There's our chairs.
We're setting up. This is the.
Oh, that's fun.
I think Matt did this. Yeah.
It's like we're peering through a peephole to see the setup.
So there's three.
So this
I think
is setting up the Centaurium.
Yeah, and he did it twice. I think he did it 2 sides. I think I put them both in there. There's still 3 minutes here to watch.
And then there was a union complaint against us for hanging 47 banners in here the night before opening.
It's a good thing we didn't need water. We'd have called the plumbing union.
That's right.
Local 632 plumbers union.
That's a lovely callback, Brian.
I stole it from the chat. Somebody mentioned it earlier in the chat.
So then he did the reverse side too. So you might be able to, if you helped us volunteer.
The backside of ballroom.
It's the backside of the ballroom, yeah. I wonder how many people go in and out of the stage doors. Oh, we weren't allowed in at this point too. So that's something we should let people know. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, you guys pulled this off. Some people were concerned about the audio, which, trust me, I was very concerned. But
I don't want to give you too many details, just to tell you that the ballroom, which we were supposed to be in at 8 o'clock in the morning, we couldn't get till 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
So,
which is why things didn't sound right on Saturday night, because the audio people didn't, although they said they'd have enough time to have it set up, they didn't. And we couldn't do a proper sound check, and we got it all fixed by Sunday morning. Thank God it was a 2-day event.
Yeah, but I apologize. We apologize for that, because it was not what we intended.
Apologize for it. It wasn't our fault.
It wasn't our fault, but I'll still apologize. Oh yeah, you guys, we need a day to set up. You got 3.5 hours. Go for it. So
yeah, there's Mrs. Saltyhinder over there on the left.
Yeah, there she is. So I think we got it.
It's all happening.
Oh, and then Matt did this. He did a walkthrough of the tunnel while it was just being built. There he is.
So we were trying to mend the end.
There he is.
Yeah.
That's a sweet view. There's my mom and dad.
Yeah. Whoa, that's crazy. So, all right. So on that behind the scenes footage, we have a couple other things we're going to show here. Let's just run real quick the Cranium Command open for anybody who hasn't seen that, and then we'll do. We got the long version of people riding the test platform for University of Energy, and we got the Dreamfinder School of Drama that everybody can see. So here we go, Cranium Command opening.
Gee, it sure is dark in here. There's got to be a light around here somewhere. This ought to do it. Whoa!
Where do you think you are? Disney World?
Yes, sir. I knew I was home when I got on the airport tram and was greeted by Buddy Dyer. I think that tram was piloted by a chicken.
All right, Pinhead, listen up. Your job is to pilot this craft through RetroMagic 2023 without overstressing it. This is a first-class event, Fuzzy. A lot of dedicated fans are in attendance tonight, and they have high expectations. So the pressure is on. Are you ready, Skunky?
Yes, sir.
You'll need to measure up to a whole archive of flickering home movies and treasured family memories that warm people's hearts.
Yes, sir.
People are going to compare you with the great Disney legend, Bob Gurr. Are you ready, Stinky?
No, sir.
Smart boy. Nevertheless, instead of losing your head, what are you gonna do?
Use my head, sir.
Well, look at you. You remembered. I'm proud of you, boy. Remind me, how long have you been riding around inside the head of Scott Curtis?
Since 1989, sir.
Then I'm sure you've got the hang of it. You're gonna get Scott right up there on stage in a few minutes, aren't you, boy?
I'll do my best, sir.
As befits your role as a full-fledged member of the Cranium Command, carry on, Fuzzy. And remember, be calm, cool, collected, serene, balanced, centered, and relaxed. Like me!
Will do, General. Guess I better get this show on the road. Okay, crew, report in. Todd McCartney, Jerry Rees, come in, please.
All right, we're back. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun, and thanks again to Bunny for drawing all those things, and Tammy for editing, and
Corey Burton for voicing
Corey,
General Knowledge,
and Scott, and then
Jerry Rees for scripting it.
He wrote the whole thing. So Yvonne says I don't remember that at all. So, all right, we got another fun thing here. This is the full version of the test platform from the Universe of Energy. This was in the was this the engineering panel? No, which one was this in? Which one did we slide this into?
We added this, right at the beginning with Bob Gurr,
Bob Gurr.
and
Okay,
Steve.
Here we go. Here's the full clip.
The full 4 minutes.
Exactly.
Theoretically, take the DC power off the roof of the building, charge the batteries. The batteries are what drive the vehicle. Follow the guidance system. This time you're in the theater. When are you going to hook that up? How do you know? Hours.
They needed to modify and work on it during the day, trim it up. But probably, what did you say, next week maybe? Monday, we're going to find somebody that goes with it and just push the off button if they have to, and run it from probably by 3:30 to midnight, or to get some hours on it, because...
Don't get run over, Charlie.
Where's Howard?
Takes off at 90 miles an hour. Both sides of each vehicle. Control computer. No operator on this. Will that sound, will that really be muffled with the...
Been muffled that.
What is that?
Sounds noisier.
That's a... Here, sounds noisier. Hell of a lot.
Is this the system they use in the water over there?
No, sir. No, but it's the same basic principle. You can watch the wheel.
Use the system
You can watch that arm.
Right, Nick?
Those wheels out.
Tell him that the vehicle will repeat itself when they have to hit cycling from one revolution to the next.
One more time, And they'll market it someplace else. That's one of the toughest things we've got going. These contracts. These guys don't want to give them up. They're our business. As long as we would have exclusive for all our usages. What the hell? That's right. They put up a hell of a lot of money. For crying out loud, don't get run over. wish we had the General Motors interested in that monitor. Let's stop too. Yeah. Oh, turn them over to him. Get a roll. I didn't know that. This will stop too, evidently. There's a place in front of it. It'll stop.
There's a vehicle here. Test them before we put them in the ride. You run them here.
Yes, sir.
Every vehicle we're going to make the ride.
Baywatch, right?
All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that one. That's one of the awesome videos and
official Tencennial uniforms
exactly.
Right there.
And how you have a breaking update.
We do.
Breaking update. Listen up.
While we were away, I created the Muckwatch T-shirt, and so it is now up at the RetroMagic web T-shirt shop.
So go to retrowdw.com/support us. So let's put that in there right now. retrowdw.com support us. Head to that URL. And you can get the Muckwatch T-shirt. I haven't even seen it yet.
I had another thing that I should have had you share, and now I'm going to try and do the thing where I hold it up to the screen. But as we were going through all of the challenges,
in
getting the room ready, can they see this?
No, I can't.
Can you see it there?
What is that?
That is the my view when I was up on stage of the monitor.
Oh, that's right.
That was not showing us what was up on screen. It was showing us this weird split. And I literally took this picture while Bob Gurr was talking and texted it to Todd in the back of the room at the soundboard and said, please have them fix this.
That's
We can't see what's on the screen.
And my whole thing with Jerry, that was the same situation. I had half of one PowerPoint slide and half of another. It was a mess. All right, we got another little
Holland's
video.
Slides were very detailed and he could not see what they were. It was
it got all messed up. So.
Yeah, but we got it fixed.
All right, so here's the Dreamfinder school drama footage that we put together that Tony Baxter had sent us. Everybody got a good laugh out of this. If you want to see this again, this is good stuff. We cut a couple together here, and you'll see Joe Rohde.
Oh, how nice of you to drop by. You're just in time to star in my new story. Rather strange travelers appear.
Summon the king! Why must they forever bother me with such silliness? There never was such thing as giants!
Duck! Watch out! Ooh. Don't let him knock you off the... The wizard's magic bubble floated for miles. We've got to try to stick together. Let's try jumping in time. 1, 2, 3! Come on! Act like you're jumping! You don't have to leave the ground! Just pretend you're floating! Follow! Let's see if this jet powder really works. Now stamp your feet to ignite it. Now, follow me. We're free.
Let's see how tough they really are. Huh?
Imagination. What's this? Whoa! Grab the rope and tug. Don't let loose. Watch it. Now. Bravo! Nice performance. I bet there's a couple of future film stars in the group. Thank you very much. And now, if you'll kindly step off stage to your left, I'll get things ready for our next performance.
All right, we're back. Hope you enjoyed that one. And now we got a couple other things to go through here. That's all the videos we have, but I put two slideshows together of just random stuff, so we're going to see what comes up in what order. Oh, how? Coming up first is your stickers.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. So that's
There they
some
are.
early production runs of the stickers before they were puffyized, I guess you could say.
By the way, can you go back and do that Joe Rodia's Dreamfinder thing, but instead just make it all like a disco light?
Yeah, we could do that.
So that like he doesn't work, and we just flashlights at him.
All right, let's see what else we got in this slide. These two slideshows. Oh, there's your watch, Hal, coming directly from the factory in white glove treatment.
There we go. All right. Waiting for it to show up on YouTube so I can. Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a close up of the watch that we did. So that is based on the Dream catching machine. It does look like
Dreamfinder's holding it in his
yes, with the glove.
Joe Rody.
You didn't know that we had them made in the Dreamport, did you?
So, well, if you know where, man, if you want the watch, the good news is you can
get one
because we have it. Yeah.
Yep.
So what it was is, I mean, I will explain this, but I'm sure the attraction is obvious. So at the center is the dial that was on the cylinder that Figment came out of. That would show how full the dream catching machine was. And whether you need to go back to the Dreamport or not. So we took that, which was originally set up in 5, and I turned it into 6 because 5 doesn't really work if you want to know what time it is, but
right,
6 dividers does. So I kind of reworked it so it was a little bit more like a watch. And then the bottom half of the strap is the dream catching bag, and then the front half of it is that tube that comes out that would like suck in all the things. And yeah, that's pretty much.
I think I have more photos of it because everything's out of order. We're now going to Tammy and Sally
at soundcheck.
Yeah, at soundcheck. So this is what Brian was talking about, and that was my phone. I had the video that we put. You can see, if you kind of can see that's the video of all the Tomorrow's Child pictures that people sent in.
Yeah, we were showing them what was going to be playing behind them
because they had no idea that was there.
Yeah, they had no idea that all of those pictures that you all submitted of yourselves at Epcot as tomorrow's children, or today's children, or today's adults, we're going to be playing behind them as we did it.
Is that yesterday's Tomorrow's Child?
Yesterday once more.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this was another concept piece of material photo that was sent to us for the Rainbow Tunnel when the factory said, "Oh, we can make something like this." I'm like, "Well, can you make it a little longer?" So just wanted to show everybody kind of what we went through with this. Okay, Hal, some more of your stickers before they were puffy-eyed again.
All right.
Yep, there they are. The gentlemen are seeing this on a delay, so I'm trying to do my best here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some of our friends.
I finally got my Der Bookworm art. I had been dying for the little bookworm from the German reading store for years, and Hal finally created him for me. So
there you go. And this was an early lanyard, Hal. This is when they got the color wrong, and we're like, no, that's blue.
Mork and Mindy, Mork suspenders. Yeah,
exactly. So I think we have a slide coming up later that will actually show the right color match. And then there's the puffy stickers coming up here. And the next one, this is when they showed us what they look like in the packaging, and then we're like, wait a minute, we want a white backer. And like, that's going to be like an extra penny per sheet. I'm like, okay. So that's how they originally were going to be packaged. She said, no. We want the white between them. So, but, here's a picture of all of us at the end with Stacy and Brooke, our stage managers, if you will, some of the volunteers. We did not get a picture of all the volunteers. So a lot of them are listening right now and watching. We thank you very, very much. And
we didn't get any pictures of the four of us together, except for stuff other people took as we were running around.
So. How could you use AI in Photoshop? Maybe turn Brooke and Stacy into something else so we can have a picture of the four of us. No, we like having a photo.
I want it from Saturday night when I had my dinner jacket on.
Oh, that's right. Let's see what
my
pops
casual
up.
Sunday look.
There we are.
So that's towards the end of the construction of the corridor.
Yeah, this is when I went to change, and they were finishing the fabric. There's my mom and dad, sister. I think that's Jason right there.
Yeah.
The fabric end, that was... It seemed like the easiest part, so I left and then came back to...
Go back to that picture, Todd, because I want to put a little perspective into this that has been missed here.
Okay.
That day started with JT and his family were taking the Rainbow Tunnel into that room, and no one was allowed in there.
Mm-hmm.
So periodically, Hal, Todd, and I would go in and check and see how it's going. And through lunchtime, it maintained. It was like ultimate secrecy, the circle of trust, the four of us and the Cougars. And by the time lunchtime was over, it became apparent we're going to need some help in here. And so, like, then it was like one more person was in there, and then it was like one more person was in there. And then there was a point that I went in because we were pushing like 2:00, and there was a strip that wasn't working, that was throwing everything off. And I walked in and said, I have to go back to the hotel and get showered and dressed because one of us has to be dressed for 3:30 when we start signing people in. Like, these guys were all like deep in the thing. I know when I left, there was talk of Hal and Todd were going to perform surgery on a circuit. Literally, like, cut something open and work with wires. And I said,
which did happen.
Which did happen. We cut stuff. Yep.
I said, I'm leaving.
Exactly.
I know where I am of no use, and this is an area where I am of no use. I'm just going to go look fabulous. So I left, got dressed, came back, and I walked out. I don't know if I saw JT or Todd or who first, but somebody gave me the thumbs up, like, that works.
Well, it was so funny. So what happened was, I think we might have a photo of her. I know Matt sent me one because we need to talk to the factory about it. But the circuits all have to work, and if one goes out, you lose a segment of, what was it, like, JT, like 4 or 5 you lost?
It was like the fourth one. They powered off of each other.
Right.
And the fourth one, the light kind of went all the way around. Well, this one just stopped like 6 inches up. And then that meant the next one wouldn't work. And so, like, we lost like 3 because of that one.
Right. I remember I came in and I, like, whacked it and it turned on, and it was like a miracle.
You came over and you squeezed
it.
It turned on. I'm like, it works. Perfect.
Yeah. And then it went off again. So
and
hold on.
We couldn't get it back.
I think we have some other pictures of that. We do. I know. Okay. So that's the correct color.
So I do want to add a postscript here. At the end, when I came back and it was working, there a couple of us were still working on getting the fabric done at the end. So in my tux, I'm sitting there tying things on at the end. I didn't just abandon ship here.
That's right. So.
And that was the moment. Like, I remember building, and I'm like, okay, the cage is coming up, and I'm going, it's not going too bad. And Todd's coming in like, it's not bad at all. It's going good. And I go, let's just wait till it lights up.
That's right.
You could build this whole thing, plug it in, and it's just nothing.
So if it didn't work, we weren't going to open the doors. So
yeah, that was a secret. Like, it was constantly said to me, well, nobody knows it's going to be here, so we'll just lock the door, and it'll just sit here dormant like it does today, technically. So
somebody picked on the JI turntable clouds. Yep, this was on the background of the watch case. So that's what that little piece is. That. And Brian, how you originally had that on the band, and I might have put the photo in here of that. No, there's more hoops.
Well, actually,
there's a lot of Rainbow Corridor stuff.
So the idea of the Journey Watch originally was going to be a tribute to that room, the vestibule that you're in, and so the dial was going to be the ceiling, and then we were going to get clear watch bands, and then the pattern that's on the staircase on the sides, the railings, it's like that was going to get used on there. And we just got to a point where, and I think the guys rightly pointed out, it was just too obscure.
Yeah.
It was a really neat idea, but you wouldn't be able to tell what it was right out of the bat, which is always important. And so that's when we shifted gears. But yes, at some point in the year, Tom Morris had tweeted his blueprints that he had done of these clouds. And so, as I am often do, is like I saved and clicked that as fast as I could. And when Todd was like, "Oh, we need a piece of artwork for the background to go behind the watch," I'm like, "Aha! I know the very thing." And so, I sat down to digitally reproduce it based on the blueprints, and I'll get a little bit into how we grind the sausage here. So I started doing a typical vector trace where you just take the pen tool and start going around things. And it didn't look right. It didn't feel right. It didn't have that 70s, 80s organic feel to it. So I stopped and I thought to myself, okay, well, how would have Tom done this, at his drawing desk in 1980 or 1981? And it occurred to me he would have circle templates and he would have a French curve. And so I started looking at the drawing and saying, okay, well, I can see this is a consistent sized circle. And I can see this several times. So what I ended up doing was building 5 or 6 circle templates and some ovals and things. And then I would copy and drag those ovals and circles into the right places. And sure enough, when I did that, and just used some big curves as if they were French curves, it all came together and it looked exactly the way that it was supposed to and right. So sometimes doing things the old way, even if you use digital tools, is the right way to do it.
That's so cool that and for the next film that I restore, I'm going to actually cut and splice. We're going to hand dye every frame, and we're going to rotoscope it. We're going to do it the right way. So. Yeah. So you've seen a couple, as Hal was talking, I went through a couple different slides because we have a lot of them here.
There was one with me and the birthday boy, Bob Gurr.
Bob Gurr.
He turned 92 today.
Yeah.
Having a laugh in the green room during breakfast.
And here's a picture of our green room before we basically destroyed it.
Looked like a frat house.
College dorm.
Yeah, well, they never took the trash.
No, they left it. We had all of the boxes for all of the gifts were in here. There was the water bottles. There's a little fridge. Thank you to Art, who's on watching tonight. He was able to stream on YouTube what was going on in the main room, so we could know when to go on. It was a lot. So
I may get in trouble for telling this story, but Yvonne just said I slept in there. But there's a funny story about that. She was laying down on the ground, and I came in and told a story about an encounter with an unruly guest who was unhappy about something. And I said, I was entering the bathroom and he was exiting, I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he says, "You don't want to know." And I said, "You're right." And I kept going into the bathroom, and she just started cracking up on the ground. This like cackling laugh started coming from the ground. And
we got some breakfast photos here. We got Mickey Waffles.
Oh yes,
Mickey Waffles coming up.
Breakfast was a big hit. We got a lot of feedback. People love the breakfast.
Go ahead, tell the story, Brian. Tell the breakfast story.
I'm letting JT tell.
All right, JT.
So Brian and I are getting breakfast. We're loading up our plates. You know how a buffet goes. You decide, you make that decision. Well, I'm gonna put the silverware in my pocket because I can't have enough hands here. So we're juggling stuff. I'm getting a coffee. I'm almost not going to make it.
And this is about 3 minutes before the buffet opens to everybody. We got our stuff to go back to the green room and have breakfast.
Yeah, and we're walking back, kind of struggling because it wasn't a short walk, but it was kind of close. And out of left field comes Todd carrying nothing. I'm like,
we're sitting there. We had just sat down to have our breakfast, balancing these plates, and then the door opens to the green room.
And Todd walks in, just suit jacket off, just chilling. I felt like he looked more chill than ever, and I was very surprised. I go, what is going on? And behind him comes a Disney employee with the white thing draped over his arm, a tray, and Todd's breakfast, and he sets it down. And I swear he even put salt and pepper on his eggs and laid the silver.
Yeah, I mean the napkin over his arm and everything. And we're like, how'd you get a butler?
Yeah, where'd you get a guy? I didn't know
because
we had guys.
My butler.
Yeah, I mean, it was this whole thing, and I was like, I mean, you work with Disney. I hear things, these two, they hear it all and stuff, and I go, I must have missed that add-on in the meeting that got Todd a butler for the weekend.
There are like 14 comments in the chat calling him Gold Key Todd.
Yeah, there's a benefit to being the treasurer, right?
That is the thing, though. No. It goes back to when Todd was 10 and he had the gold key and he's eating lobsters and throwing them in the pool at the Polynesian because he didn't want them. I mean, it's just like, it was perfect. I go, they must remember.
More everything.
Yeah. Oh, you're that gold key kid. Let's get your butler back out. That was what it was like.
I love being roasted. This is great.
It's just hilarious.
So how it all happened was I had a plate of breakfast food and I decided I wanted oatmeal as well. So I'm carrying oatmeal.
I want to say I also got oatmeal too, and I didn't get a butler, but go ahead.
And I just happened to go over the coffee. I said, "Oh, let me set these down." And I was the first one over because I had said I have a meeting. I need to get in there. And they said, "Okay."
And you did have a meeting.
I did. I had a meeting with the audio tech to fix the audio. So I sat down on one table, and nobody's eating yet, and nobody's really getting stuff but us. And I go to pour coffee, and he's like, "I'll take it for you." I'm like, "No, I'll be back." He's like, "Nope," and he just swooped everything up, and off he went. So
what if it was the same guy from when you were like 10?
It could have been. It could serve me that fillet. Yeah,
I remember you.
I remember you. So, all right. This next photo, Hal went on a crusade one day. These are interspersed of looking for rainbow tunnels, and for some reason he came. This is one of the ones that you found, Hal.
Oh wow!
It's out in the wild somewhere. Yeah,
somewhere this exists.
Right. When we started discussing how can
we do it?
8 months ago, 10 months ago, how can we do rainbow tunnels? Is
right.
that something that's feasible? And we looked at literally every iteration of rainbow tunnels that we could find.
Yeah, there's a couple more coming up we're going to talk
anywhere.
About. So,
and our conclusion though at the time was nope, not good enough.
Exactly. We're going to see a couple more. This was exactly at like 1:04 when we were allowed into the room, and you can see it's not even set up how the room was. We're like, okay, well, there's me waving. Like, there's.
I just want to say, Gary says in the chat, at the next Retro Magic, we're gonna have the robot from Rocky trying to get you food. That was one of the actual things we were going to do for this.
Exactly.
Event, was have Seiko there, the
yep.
robot from Rocky, who was also at the Epcot opening, and it just Rainbow Tunnel killed the budget. So
that's right. So, all right, this next photo is just the entrance to the Rainbow Tunnel room with the there's a funny story behind the small Dreamfinder and the giant Michael Jackson. So Brian and I were each tasked to do these, and Brian sent his in first, and he says, "Oh, we're going to do Michael Jackson." He says, "Hey, they can add legs." I said, "That's great." So he sends his picture in of Michael Jackson for the Michael Jackson standee, and Brian says 6 feet tall. And then the next day, Brian's like, "We really should have Dreamfinder." So I found this one, and I said, "Okay, it didn't have legs. Put legs on it." And they wound up sending me a proof with these legs. This photo never had legs. They actually drew that or took it from some other picture or AI or something. And I didn't realize I had selected 5 feet tall, but he's clearly not 5 feet. He's like 4 feet. So we have this
little fellow.
We have a little Dreamfinder.
He's a Dreamfinder.
And Brian never. He's like, "Oh no, they never charged me the extra $25 for legs." So that's why Michael Jackson's face is the size of
giant Michael, which actually worked well with the 10-foot rainbow card.
And that's why we have a small. So the thing is that order legs and order 6 feet. That's what you have to do. Yeah. So, all right, what else we got here?
Because I got a 5-foot orange bird last time, and I learned and said, no, it's got to be 6 feet.
Yeah.
Because 5 feet, even though orange bird was tiny.
Yep.
More breakfast.
Some more breakfast. Some more.
Michael Jackson's in Yvonne's garage, too. She says it scares her every time she gets out of her car.
Yeah. Some lanyard detail there. Oh, some LED light selection that they sent us coming up here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I remember when they sent us those. And then this is Brian and I probably, as you said, Brian, this photo here is probably you and I disagreeing, but still loving each other in the brotherly love way.
I think this was
we were pretty chill.
This was right before, it was either right before we were going in to open the show.
Yeah.
Or it was right before we opened the cocktail hour.
Yeah.
I don't remember which. I just remember there was a point where we sat down and took a moment.
Exactly.
And said, okay, the Rainbow Carter works.
We're mic'd up. I'm mic'd up. So this must have been, you can see the mic on me. So this must have been
getting ready to go on then. We had this must have been before we were going on Saturday.
And yeah, you got a mic in your hand too. So
yep.
And these are some more stickers coming up. And then this next one. This is John DeCure Jr. showing us that
this was great as we were setting up Saturday morning.
I have a video of it too.
He brought his artwork over and spent 3 minutes kind of just giving us a class on what was in the artwork and how it came to be. And there were several. I know Matt recorded it, and I know your wife recorded it, Todd.
Yeah,
so
I've got
there's a number of people that recorded his little chat, which we'll have to pull together. But yeah, it was Jason just says it was an amazing experience for those of us that were there.
Yeah. So this is some behind the scenes artwork when I was working with Bunny to do this. This is really kind of funny. So I couldn't tell her what we were doing. She kind of knew that something was going on, and she kind of knew that we were doing Cranium Command Revisited, putting it all together. But she had no idea. So she says to me, she says, she says, "Can you give me a script?" And I said, "I'm sorry, Bunny, I can't give you. This is like top secret project here." So I said, "I need a no, sir, a yes, sir, something about sure of himself, and a happy, excited." And I gave her a couple others. And I there should be coming up here general knowledge. And she said, "Well, what's it for?" I'm like, "I can't tell you." But Bunny, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, like, all I did was give you a few words. and you got this so good. So hopefully it will advance here. Here we go. So this is a close up of the No Sir coming up here in a second that she did. So there it is there. And then the next picture is after she had colored it in. It looks great. So you get the nice coloring in there. And I understand that Bunny actually produced these on lucite. She hand painted each one. She traced them all, and she's actually made everybody a production cells for everybody, right? So, and the funny thing is that somebody said, "Are you going to animate this?" I actually looked into this. Is actually pretty cool. If we drew Buzzy in a few different poses, and you put his eyes and you had the individual components, there's animation software now that you connect all the you make bones inside, and you can animate them. It's amazing. So if anybody has a lot more time than I do and they want to animate our opening, I'm more than happy to work on that project. So
put a lot of live people out of work.
Yeah. Well, this is our selfie. How I think this is your selfie or Brian's selfie that didn't get all of us.
I didn't take one. I just said
No,
somebody sent
mine.
it to me. And
that was yours, JT?
I was
Okay.
looking up at his, and I'm looking at mine. Yeah.
Next time we have to get somebody else take it, and it
There
not
we
be
go.
a selfie. It just be
Oh,
ussy.
here you go, Hal. These are the two watches. This is the early one, and the later version after they fixed that. Hal's like, do I remember that?
Oh, right, because they accidentally we had the clouds like on the.
Right.
The idea was the clouds were on the background, and they just assumed like they didn't understand that the watch was transparent, so they put the clouds on the watch band.
And they couldn't do the metallic color, so you chose a darker color for the clasp and everything. So
yeah, we had to figure out what would actually look good and match the rest of the artwork.
Dreamfinder worked really hard there with his hand.
Exactly.
Oh, here we are.
Yeah, just a photo. I don't know when this was. Obviously, the evening.
This was when we were letting
opening the
people in.
doors.
And I just kept saying to you, "What are we waiting for?"
That's right. Just open the doors. That's right. That's right.
It's time to. They've been standing out there for too long. Let's open the doors. We're ready.
I grabbed some of these off of Twitter too.
Yeah,
so this next one, this is the chicken. I sent this to Bunny, and I said, "I need you to draw this," and she did a great job. And this is what she came up with, which was great. So, and the chicken was a late ad too. I was just like, "Oh, we need to put the chicken in there." And the peacock, that was actually the original peacock from Cranium Command. So, oh, and here we go. Here's the. See, this is. I hope people appreciate. This is how much we go through. How this is the color test when they redid the lanyards, making sure that it matched the color that we had selected at that point.
Right.
This is the stuff we go through, folks.
A lot of back and forths with. I remember when we did the watch, I was like, okay, this is what I need you to do. I need you to splay out the color books under your lighting conditions.
That's right.
Next to the plastic, so that way I can find a color that I know is going to look right.
Exactly.
Because I can sit here with like my color book, at home, but it doesn't necessarily match the lighting that they have in the factory, and so
exactly.
I get the wrong color. So
this is the first rainbow tunnel.
This was the budget experience.
This is the first. This is what we thought we could do for the rainbow tunnel.
Just put some Christmas lights on it.
Exactly. Would have been fine. It would have been fine. So here's another one from Bunny. This is a general knowledge. I said I need something where he's coaching and helping. And then this is her ink and paint version of it, which or similar. Yeah, I think some of it had changed. This is a slightly different one. I can't remember. Then I wanted him in good natured. And then there's some other pictures here of like I said, these got a lot of wax. Sorry.
Man, I love the fact that she did the boots in like the lighter color.
Oh yeah.
So perfect.
And then these are some outtakes from the ads that didn't make it into the. These are ads that did not make it into.
Is there a trigger warning? For
I think
Yvonne
there might be
here?
a trigger warning for Yvonne. But I wanted this one to go in just because of the projector, but it didn't make it. We didn't have room for it into the program, but that's okay. This was another rainbow tunnel that we looked at. This was the inflatable one. Do you remember this one, guys? Like, no, that won't work either.
It looked like very Winter Wonderland.
Yeah. So, and then let's see this next slide here.
That was more like the World of Motion like entrance version.
Oh yeah. Here's JT telling me to get out of there. It's top secret.
No pictures.
No pictures. No photographs.
Yeah, that was like within the first hour or so. I think.
Yeah.
And you can see the hoops built down. We had them divided up and by number and location.
And like I said, if you do buy this, you don't have to put the whole thing up. You could just put segments together. So, and there's a view from our AV booth. You can see that's all the power that it requires to put this together. And actually, we said something interesting at the end. I told this to Disney and a few others, and this is how we have to market ourselves next time. This is not a presentation. This is a multimedia presentation. And that's what we try to put on. And there's the rainbow corridor lit up and some other photos of that. So, all right. Last thing we've got here to go over. We are going to do an art auction, so I do have some pictures of the art here. Just got a couple slides to go through. This is art from Tony Passero, as well as Jimmy Mulligan. And then obviously we're going to auction off the Rainbow Corridor as well. So there's a number of different pieces that we're going to auction off. They're signed by the artist. They're numbered. How do you say that? What's the process that he uses? How? Glyph?
Oh, giclée.
Giclée. That's it. That's
French,
it.
meaning to spray.
Ah, can you enlighten us on the?
Well, yes, it sounds much fancier than the words inkjet, but essentially that is what the process is. Although you're using archival paper, archival inks, but the process is very much like an inkjet printer.
Gotcha. So so basically he got back to us and he's going to make prints from these. They're going to be hand signed. And then what you see here is these are signed by Tony Baxter as well as Jimmy Mulligan. And we've got one of Splash Mountain in there, just given what's going on with Splash and stuff recently. So those are all signed by both of the artists. So these are all going to be up for auction. So. All right, we've got a couple more minutes here before we close it out. And if you're a ticket holder or anybody just watch social media, we'll send you emails and we'll let you know when this auction goes and gets together. So we'll go from there. So, all right, let's bring us back out to full screen here, gentlemen. Ooh, look at that. As we wrap it up, what other questions do people have for Retro Magic? I saw people saying, we should do multiple days. Well, we need more money for that, but we'll figure multiple days out. Don't worry.
What's happening?
No, people said, we want more time. Yeah. So
it'll be 2 full days next time. That's the plan.
It'll be different. So, any news on the next event? We just said that. It'll be 2 full days.
It'll be 2 full days, and we'll have a full ballroom.
Yep.
2025, right?
Spring, winter or spring 2025. I always push more on the winter side because it's cold up here, and I want to get away from being up here, but... we'll work that out. Normally what happens is on my winter trip this year, I will meet with Disney and start talking about available spaces and dates, and we start working on actual when it will be. And then work on our big guests and find out what their preferred dates are. And then we try and marry the two together.
And we've already started our Slack channel.
10th anniversary hints art. I mean, we've openly discussed some of this stuff. I've said I want a Muppet Vision panel so that we can get some of the Muppet folks and the folks that worked on that down there before they start leaving us.
Well, it's not just about Disney 10 Centennial. It's
us too.
It's our 10 Centennial, so it encompasses the whole 43 square miles.
It's not like we're just focusing on 1981.
Right.
Nor are we just focusing on us. It's not 2 days about us.
I'd like to do a Splash and a Big Thunder or some things that I've been toying with doing. Those are attractions I know we can have Tony come and talk about a little more in depth. We've got a couple other different. We also have another one in the works. We're not going to mention, but we're working on it. So.
Definitely, if it's on the schedule, I want Russell back to talk about his career and besides the interventions loop, which is obviously we throw the word iconic around a lot these days.
Yeah,
but if you walk through that park anytime from the 1990s to a couple of years ago, it's like you have that music burned into your brain.
Yeah.
Mr. Nazer, when is the 2025 World's Fair? Like, we're not gonna don't say 2025. I mean, like, is it like the whole year or but we'll be in the winter, spring. Anyway, somebody said John DeCure Jr. is up here, and yes, we had already talked to him about his dad coming back.
Yep.
He worked on Muppet Vision 3D. I think he said he was the art production designer.
He was a production designer for that, yeah.
And his son just put it in the chat that he's got a great story about buying a bonsai tree for the Miss Piggy portion in North Hollywood. He purchased it. So
yeah, and I had a conversation a while back with one of the Muppeteers that filmed all the pre-show segments one weekend at Jim Henson's farm in upstate New York. They in a barn, all those little things that run in the pre-show room where the guys are moving from camera to camera. They did all that one weekend, not long before the show opened. So there'll be good stuff in there.
And I will say Brian has approved already the cost of shipping a projector. So we are bringing a live projector with film. It probably will just be me in a room by myself. You can come in and watch me thread it. We'll just play it on the wall. After hours event. So yes, I am bringing. I know Yvonne will be there and Jason will be there, but hot projector action will happen.
So Bob Rowan, you bring up an interesting panel that I'm working on as well, which is he says I want to hear about the Muppet attractions that didn't get built. Two things there. One, they have been pretty well documented, although Muppet Great Movie Ride could probably be a little more fleshed out. But Tony Baxter had said to us, I don't know if he said it on stage, he would really love to just do a whole panel on stuff he designed that never got built. And I think that that's a great idea. And I think that there's a lot of gold to be mined there of not just Tony, but other folks who designed things that weren't built. So I think that there's, you mentioned Discovery Bay. He did a pretty extensive description of Discovery Bay at one of the Destination Ds. He went through probably a good 10 minutes of Discovery Bay. But, sure, I know he'll love to talk about it some more and share some stuff we probably haven't seen.
Now, I will put a call out there. Brian and I have been trying to think, How do you?
Hang on, Neil Hunter Hyde. No Disneyland. Westcott is Disneyland.
Yep.
Walt Disney World.
That's right. Brian, you've been talking like, what can we do other than the Rainbow Corridor? Now Gary is saying that we should rebuild Roy's cabin, but that's a little much. Could be a Lincoln Log set.
We can order that from.
Yeah, the Amish will build that for
Amish
you.
Country.
Exactly.
You want Roy's cabin? I can get that built in a weekend for you.
So if anybody has an idea for a logical thing to rebuild, I mean, I know Hal would love to rebuild the Captain's Tower. We could do the whatchamacallit. But
I briefly considered like what would it take to bring back Step and Tones, and I just realized it's not enough of a draw. I mean, once you've done the Rainbow Corridor, there's really no point.
Can we also talk about that? I tried to hire a live Michael Jackson impersonator.
That's right.
And there are terrific Michael Jackson impersonators in California. There are some terrific ones in New York. The few that were available in Florida looked more like Shirley Jackson than Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were just not.
It was
at
like
all.
late 90s Michael.
They didn't even look like Michael Jackson. They just like a guy whose last name was Jackson. Like
being kind.
Yeah, I mean it was.
The cardboard cutout did a fine job. We'll just
if we could do stepping tones and then hire a real Michael Jackson lookalike to recreate the Billie Jean video for us,
that'd be perfect.
Oh, yeah,
it would all work.
So. Well, I appreciate everybody joining tonight. I just wanted to say a couple things before we out, and then I think how you or Brian wanted to end it on what I think it was DeCure had said or somebody had said about
how had wanted to mention
John. So I'll let you go at the end, Hal, and then after Hal's done, we're going to roll our credits, and I ask everybody to stay and watch them. There are people's names in there that helped us. I'm sorry for the magic appearing dog bed behind me. It just every now and then comes up. Their names are in there for a reason because they helped us. There's too many to list. I know a lot of them are listening tonight and really, really super appreciate the time and effort that they put in to make that day possible. As you saw,
and there are a lot of people who helped us whose names aren't there too.
Absolutely. And you saw Vaughn said, I was sleeping at one point. I missed that. I didn't even get to see that. We didn't get to see stuff. It takes a boatload of people to make this happen, and we can't thank them enough. With that said, I was doing some thinking this week about Epcot and how this event really brought a lot of people together. And, there's a lot of things that we can say that we're a community. We all love Epcot. We all have this certain feeling about it. And trust me, I got it that week. And you put the music on. I'm glad somebody called out music, because a music of Epcot panel would be fantastic too. Why did it work so much? But Epcot, for a lot of people, and Hal's going to sum this up, it's very different from the time we're living in now. And I'm not talking about just the technology we have. We live in a society right now that is so fast-paced and is littered with drama and is littered. I was watching TV the other night, and everything is screaming and everything's yelling and everything is drama and everything's this crazy music to suck you in. And we live in this world of psychological drawing people in, or psychological attraction, whether it's a game on your phone or TV. And I know you're going, where's he going with this? This was at a time when that wasn't there. Right? There's always been ways to draw people in, but it was a creative time. It was a place to come and explore the future, to explore that hope, and such a different time. And I think we all want to go back and experience that again, because it was so different from the time that we're living in now. No doubt we're living in an amazing time. There's incredible stuff going on, and we can't believe the power of things that are in our pocket and everything else around us. But it was really interesting. And I was just thinking about that this week. So that may make sense to some of you. It may not make sense to some of you. If you get it, let me know. Great. But Hal, I'll let you do the honors. I was like, I don't know what you just said.
Well, I hope I can do this justice, because often I am not as eloquent as I wish I were. One of the things that John had talked about, he said, Walt said in his film, it wasn't the experimental prototype city of tomorrow. It was the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. And when they started planning it, community, it made sense to have people together in one place. But as technology moved forwards, having people in one place, was no longer necessary. As the internet came to be, and people were able to communicate. And he pointed out, I think rightfully so, that the types of people that were, we are a community, that Epcot helped put together. Everybody in the room that was there, all the people that worked on it, it's like we created a community of our own. And that's something to be celebrated. And that's where, the promise of Epcot in some ways has happened because of this. And we are living in it right now. So I thought that was just a really neat way to look at that.
Yep. Awesome. Well, from all of us here, thank you very much for coming back and spending an evening with us with Retro Magic. I hope you enjoyed it. We love putting on these movie nights, if you will, and we'll be back for another one. So thank you very much, Hal, JT, Brian. Thank you for the evening, and we're going to roll credits here in just a second. And please be sure to thank everybody in the chat, because a lot of those people that volunteered their time are chatting with us tonight. Thanks all, and we'll see you soon.
Follow the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society on Twitter and Instagram at LBV History, and on the web at lbvhistory.org. For all things Retro Disney World, including exclusive merchandise, visit us on the web at retrowdw.com, and on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at RetroWDW. And follow our hosts, Todd McCartney, on Twitter at WDWMS, Hal Bowers on Twitter and Instagram at GoAwayGreen, JT Cougar on Twitter at LS1JT, and on YouTube at Rubber City Motoring, and on the web at rubbercitymotoring.com. And you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Brian P. Miles. Retro Disney World is the monthly podcast of the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society, a nonpartisan, nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 organization, and is not affiliated in any way with the Walt Disney Corporation or any of its subsidiary or affiliated entities.